everybody. Welcome to the Tech-Mex podcast. This is episode 13, also known as Trece. I'm your host, Eric Ramirez, and we've got my awesome co-host here, Mando Gomez.
Howdy, howdy.
And we also have a special guest today. We've got Rico with Cuts by Rico, and he's going to help us help me and you achieve our best looks and also help your business achieve its best look. So we've got a good episode today. So let's go ahead and dig in. Dale.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited. Rico, I saw you a couple days ago. Look, I'm looking pretty sharp. If you're looking me in YouTube,
let me see that cut. Let me see that cut, Mando. Okay, that's a nice fade you got there.
Look at the fade.
I told him too. I was like, hey, make sure you come get a haircut before you get the podcast, because
I look right.
Good.
For sure. So yeah, I think that we have been discussing you coming into the pod because I was curious, right? And I think that, you know what, it's basically our pod is about Hispanic culture, and obviously haircuts are an important thing for us Hispanics, right?
Right.
So and also business, right? So let's start diving into that. I'm curious, are you born and raised here in Houston, or what's your story?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Houston. So my whole family was born in Mexico. I'm the only one. Well, me and the sister after me, and then the other sister. So there's three of us that were born here in Houston for the most part. But yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you two
cool.
are true Houstonians.
Hey, born and raised right here, you know.
Born and raised.
We're so native. You know, at work, at my job, they always ask, okay, who's from where, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there aren't that many of us that are like, no, we're born and raised here in Houston. So it's kind of funny. Lots of people transplant here, just like our buddy here, Mando.
Yeah, I'm a transplant. So Texas is the center of the universe. That's what I said. So, all right. So tell us a little bit of the story. I mean, I know you as my barber, right? But yeah, how did you choose to become a barber? Or it was, tell us for the audience, how was your transition, right, to become a barber, and why?
Right. So I've been cutting professionally since 2020, and the whole way it came through was that I was cutting from the house with Walmart clippers, right? I was cutting my dad's hair, my brother's hair, but I didn't know how to fade. I didn't know what clippers were made for what, like for lining up or fading. I didn't know anything. So it really didn't start until COVID hit. So whenever COVID hit, I was working at a maintenance company, and work just slowed down completely.
Yeah.
And I was on standby. I was still employed, but I was on standby. And the guy that was my boss at the time, he was like, hey, if you want to apply for unemployment, we'll go ahead and approve it. You can collect until you're unable to collect. That's because we didn't approve it. So just know that you're still working for us, but just you're on standby. There's no work. So like 2 months happened, and I was tired of being at home. Like, you know, everybody was quarantining or whatever. But I told at the time, she was my girlfriend. I'm married now. So, but at the time, thank you. But at the time, she was like, I told her, I was like, I want to go back to school. For what? I have no clue, but I'm tired of being home. And she was like, how come you just don't go to barber school? You already cut your dad's hair and your brother's. And I was like, I don't know, because if I mess somebody up, they're going to try to fight me. I never fought nobody before.
So true. I mean, I've gone in before and been like, this is not good. You just want to hide when you get home. But no fighting, though.
Right. I'm all about peace.
So it was your wife's idea. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, she knew that I was fascinated by cutting. Like, I seen all these haircut videos and everything on social media, so she knew that I was attracted to those type of videos. And she was like, I know you like it, so just go for it. And so I did. And
one interruption here. I think that sometimes wives or girlfriends, right, or your significant other, they know you and listen to the advice, right? Like it's the true support, right? When they are kind of encouraging you and empowering you to almost follow what you want or what you like. So that's cool. Okay, and then what happened?
Some people might call that also asking for permission. Also, that's probably a good. Strategy.
You can see it in both ways, but the reason why I'm calling it out is because sometimes you might not know, right? So and you need you're trusting your partner, and obviously she wants the best interest for you and both of you, right? So I think that is almost like a bias there, obviously, because they are kind of helping as well each other, right? But yeah, I think that is kind of the dynamic where it's hard to figure out when is that, right? When if you are truly asking permission. Did you knew in that moment that you kind of wanted, or you were like thinking about it, or you just were worried, like mentally, what was happening to you? You kind of were looking videos and fascinated, but did you thought that maybe you couldn't make money there, or why you were doubting a little bit?
Well, honestly, I don't think I felt like that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure if I really wanted it to cut hair. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it worked out, man. Once they were teaching me how to do a fade, I seen the transition from just lines to blurry fade. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. You know?
Yeah,
I like it. But yeah,
so tell us the part where you enjoy, right? I usually see some of these are trades, right? And sometimes there is some craftsmanship, right? There is some machinery, like a carpenter or any trades, and I can spot people that they really like it, right? Or they enjoy it. So what is the part that you enjoy while doing it?
Right. So I feel like my favorite part of just cutting hair in general is like all the people that you can meet, you know? Like you meet all kinds of people. Like some people care about their haircut. They are so picky, which is no problem at all. Cause you know, that's my job. Like I'm not gonna let you get out of my chair if you're not confident, if you don't like the way your haircut looks, right? I want you to be happy. So there's people that don't care. They're just like, I just need it cleaned up. Give me a 2 on the sides and the back and whatever. It's too long. It's too hot outside.
That's kind of weird why they don't do it themselves. It is just like that, literally only the whole head with the 2.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may have tried during COVID to do it themselves. They're like, no, I'm gonna leave this to a professional. Because I did. It's just
I did for several months myself.
Yeah, it's hard to get the back.
Yeah, for sure.
The back is the hardest. Yeah. You gotta grab a mirror and you gotta look at the reflection. And then the reflection is a reflection of the back. So it's like reflection of a reflection.
Yeah. You do it all backwards.
Yeah, you think you're going left, but you're really going right.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, did you went to classes or like a school to for barber, or how do you learn then?
YouTube University.
Right. So technically you're not supposed to cut hair without a license. So if you're cutting hair without a license, you know that's illegal.
Get fined. That's illegal.
Right.
Sure.
So I wanted to make sure
we won't tell anyone. Don't worry.
Right.
With our million subscribers. All right.
I ended up signing up for a barber college, and that's whenever I kind of made the decision, you know, like if I'm gonna do this, I'm going all out. Like I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try to master it, and I'm gonna try to be the best one out there. And because it's an investment, right? You don't want to pay all this money and then not end up keeping that career. So I had made up my mind, like I'm sticking to this, whether I like it or not. But I ended up loving it, so it worked out.
Are you guys familiar of the 3 M's? It's kind of a framework, a mental framework of first, you need to make it. Like literally, you have to make it. then you master it. So you become a master of the craft, right? And then final, you mentor. So it's kind of a cycle of the whole thing. So yeah, you just remind me about that.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I
Yeah,
would love to mentor. Yeah.
sometimes you got to fake it till you make it too. I mean, so when we're talking about just a little bit, I think you described a little bit of what like a lot of people start thinking about whenever they're trying to either switch careers or try to start a business. It's like there's a lot of things that you're working through. It's like, one, do I actually know how to do what I want to do? You know, you start thinking about what the different obstacles are there to be. Two, it's like, what is the money aspect, or what kind of investment do you have to make aside from your time? There's also sometimes a monetary type of capital investment into what you want to do. And so a lot of times it's like, okay, those are the things that might hold you back. And then the third thing is like the support. Sometimes depending on what type of responsibilities you have to consider, okay, am I able to take this risk at this time? And fortunately, it sounds like you had your girlfriend was down for you to kind of go continue experiment. She saw something in you that it's something that she liked, saw that maybe it's something that you could excel at and grow. So she gave you that support to help you kind of move forward. And I think whenever people are in that spot where they're not sure what they want to do next, like what is it going to be, those are kind of three common things that people are seeing, right? And Rico, do you think that sounds right? Like, are those the things that you were considering when you were thinking about doing this at first?
Yeah. So like, I thank her every time. I'm like, thanks to you, I'm doing something that I like. I don't wake up anymore hating my job or like feeling like, damn, I have to go to work, because I don't see it like that. Like, I enjoy it. Like, I work 7 days a week. Unless I have a family party or something important going on, I'll take a day off, right? But for right now, it's like, I like it. I like it a lot. And before that, I was working from job to job and like always feeling undervalued. So I was like, they're not paying me what I deserve. Like, I'm not going to overwork myself. I feel like I'm worth more. And now it's like, I enjoy what I do and I get paid good and I'm happy.
Yeah. I was going to say, so go ahead, Mando.
So it reminded me, there is one thing the Japanese culture they use called ikigai, and I do recommend people to take a look. And it's basically a bunch of circles, and when they are putting together, each of them they are defining something. And I think that I just Google it right now, and it's basically the concept that it means the reason for being, which is iki, and it's the Japanese symbol, and kind of the other one also life, and guide that describes what is your value and worth. I discovered this one a few years back because I think that is. I was noticing that only few people sometimes they just get into a self-realization and where you can see that they truly enjoy what they're doing. Another person was my realtor. When you ask her about what she's doing, it describes exactly what you are saying. It's like, hey, I'm excited, I'm pumped. I just want to help people to find their houses, right? It's like I'm selling another house. I'm getting paid of doing this, right? And it's contagious. Like
Yeah.
that attitude is contagious. So and yeah, that ikigai, I think that for the audience, it's a nice exercise on that way you can see the different areas. I'm looking at here the different circles. The one is basically do what you love. Then if you go around the other circle, is basically what basically you are good at, and there is an intersection there which is passion, right? And then the circle in the bottom is what you can do in order to get paid for, right? Because one thing is that maybe you're a musician and maybe you suck. you love it, but it's like, oh man, just cut it out.
No one's gonna pay for that.
That's right. And here is the interesting one, guys, which a lot of people they miss. The last circle is what the world needs. So if you wanted to do it, you have passion, and yes, the people are willing to pay, but is the is your community doesn't need it. My haircut, people need it. Like you need to see me, right?
Yeah. Well, like I like to say too, it's like, it's really just a haircut is like an investment in yourself, man. Like I'm selling confidence, Like
I'm
you
selling
can come
confidence.
in like after 3 to 4 weeks of having long hair, and like I'm telling you, it's the best feeling when you hand the mirror to a client and they see a huge difference. It's like a whole new person. It is awesome.
I can see like a hit there, right? Maybe you also became a junkie of that hit, right? Like every time that you give the mirror.
The dopamine hit once you
dopamine
get someone
hit.
get their haircut. Well, it's true, but for sure, you look good, you feel good, and I think everybody can understand that. So, and that's your dealer. I mean, you're helping people feel good, right? So I think that's a really good observation there.
With your own chemistry, right? I mean, you're getting the hit with your own dopamine, with your oxytocin and all of those things. So which I do like the confidence, because that makes people do a lot of things, right? Like get the job that they want, or maybe ask the person that they want, like the girl or whatever, right? If you're whatever, and yes, that confidence is super important.
I actually have a super funny story.
Go for it.
I had this one client, right? And I was cutting his hair or whatever, and I like to talk and have fun and joke around. And I told him after I handed him the mirror, I was like, "Oh boy, that's a baby making haircut right there." And we laughed.
Okay.
We laughed about it. He came back 3 weeks and he's like, "Hey, my wife's pregnant." I was like, "Bro."
It's like, then you didn't know to answer. I'm sorry, or
I was like, "Hey, I better be invited to the baby shower."
That's right. Put that on the T-shirt. These are
Rico's
baby
the
making
padrino,
haircuts right
the
here.
godfather here.
Now we joke about it. Now he's like, "Hey, no more baby making haircuts." I'm like, "Nah, bro. Until you're ready. Until you're ready."
It's like you tell me when I get the power here, right? So all right, going back to the sequence of you were getting more familiar, you start learning, and I'll tell you this, and I was discussing with Eric. I had a lot of barbers through my life, and my hair is very hard because it's very, very thick. That's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't let it. So and then a lot of barbers, they don't know how to cut it. Sometimes I actually needed to go with Chinese or Vietnamese barbers, because it's very thick hair as well. So and when I asked you how long, I thought you were doing this for a while. And when you told me that only a couple of years, I said, "Oh, holy shit, this guy is pretty good."
Yeah.
So and that's when I asked you, right? It's like, oh wow, like, and then you told me, it's like, I need to bring this guy to the pod, because you have talent, man.
Yeah. Thank you. So like I said, whenever I started, I went all out, right? I was on standby. And the whole time that I was on standby for my job, I was going full time to barber school. And I was just putting in work. It's just consistency. And I enjoyed it too. So that made a difference. Like, I feel like when you enjoy something and you want to genuinely get better, you will. But you just have to keep repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. And after that, it just becomes muscle memory. You're just naturally doing what you do.
I think, go ahead, Tori.
I was just gonna ask. I'm curious about like that process. One, I guess when you first started learning how to cut the hair, I mean, you already had some practice, right, from home and stuff like that. Do you recommend doing the barber? I mean, is that the only way to get your license is to go through barber school?
Yes. Yeah, you have to go. In the state of Texas, it used to be you had to put in like 1,500 hours of school time. Like you have to physically be in school and doing the book work and stuff. During COVID, it dropped to 1,000 hours. So that's another reason why I just went ahead and do it. Like I felt like I need to take advantage of that offer, So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
once you do that, you have to do a written exam, and what's the other one called?
Do they like watch you do?
It's just a state board exam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And so,
Yeah, so-
then once you had that license, like how did you start getting your first, like I guess people to cut that you would cut hair? Did you go to a shop and that you bought a seat? Can you describe that process?
Mhm.
Right. So during school, when I was already learning and I already had an idea of how to fade, I would have like my friends and family members, like cousins and stuff. They'll come to my parents' house and I'll cut their hair there. I bought a barber chair, the same ones that they had in school. It was like $200,
Mhm.
and I just started cutting from the house. And once I seen that they were liking my work, I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty good." Like once I get licensed, I'm gonna go to a barber shop, and it wasn't that hard. There's not it's not that hard to get into a barber shop.
Mhm.
Some they just want to see your work, and others they'll have you perform like a service. They want to see how you work, how you cut, and how
Mhm.
you present yourself and stuff like that. So it wasn't crazy.
Hey, did your primos tip you?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
They better tip, huh?
Well, so that's something that we see a lot in people that are starting their businesses, right? It's like, who do they usually find support from? It's usually going to be their family and their friends, especially when you're
family.
bootstrapping and starting off, just on your own. That's at least in the Latino culture, that's something that we see a lot. Do you agree, Mando?
Yeah, I mean, also even in the startup community, right? Like they call it investment or angel investors, friends and family, right? So I think that get help from. I mean, like Rico mentioned it, right? Like whatever you're doing, if you're starting to become a barber or even you're a plumber, electrician, try to figure out friends and family. That's your network.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so true. It's kind of funny. Like I don't know if y'all ever saw the people that sell knives and stuff like that. I did a little bit of that in high school, just try things out. And yeah, they're like, go sell to your family. I'm like, shit, my family can't afford these knives. But that's where you start, obviously, right? It's like you might sell a knife here or there or whatever, but that's usually a good support system.
Yeah, for sure. And in some point, like my daughters, they were in the Girl Scouts, and when we were in Austin, and that was the thing. Like, hey, you have to sell them, right? Like, to whom? Whether we don't have many family over here, right? So they have to literally go and knock doors, right? And I think that's a segue, but it is an interesting skill. Just go and knock doors, right? And it removes a lot of the fear of being able to talk to people. So maybe that's a good question for you. Once that you had your license, wing wing, we will not say anything about the previous people. But once that you have the license, did you have your different customers, or how did you start marketing your service, or you just literally went directly to the barber shop?
Right. Well, the first barbershop that I worked at, it was I learned a lot, and it was a bit slower because I feel like they weren't open for that long, so not a lot of traffic was being through there. Through that area, they didn't have a lot of traffic, foot traffic. So I had to get creative somehow. I printed out business cards. I try to pass them out on slow days. I try to, or on my off days, wherever I went, I try to hand out business cards like, "Hey, here, check me out. Do this, do that." I think at one point I had like a barcode where they could see all my links, like my Instagram and stuff like that. And that's where I found more success was through Instagram. Um, I would follow I would have random clients, especially it was like younger clients, that have all the social medias. I would have them follow me, and I'll tell them, "Hey, follow my barber account, and I'll post my availabilities, and I'll keep in touch with everything. If you need an appointment, just send me a DM, and I'll send me the time of the day, and I'll tell you if I could do it or if we'll work a way around our schedules." And that's how it started.
How did you figure out that it was just by accident, or did somebody told you, "Hey, you need to do your social media"? Tell us how, or you use trial and error, because I mean that's pretty cool on the Instagram. But yeah, I wanted to understand for the audience, right? How they can figure out themselves.
Right. So whenever I was in barber school, our instructor, she told us all the time, promote, 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 promote. Take a picture of every haircut. Take a picture, post it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or if you think it's not all that. Someone who ends up viewing your picture or your page, they'll see that cut and they might like it. Then they might show you that same picture, like, "Hey, I want this same haircut."
What
And
is her
so,
name?
Miss Nora, we just call
All
her
right.
Miss Nora. Yeah,
Shout out to Miss.
shout out to Miss Nora. Yes,
For sure. I really think that she's completely right. Like any business, because this is a business,
right.
and I think that if treated as a business, you have to promote. If not, nobody's gonna know that you exist. So
Mm-hmm.
and even if you are like a great in what you do, you have to promote. So I think that she's right. No wonder why she was
Yeah.
telling you guys to do it. So then she just told you to promote, but did she told you, hey, use your Instagram or use socials, or what did you choose Instagram in this case?
I want to say she did recommend Instagram, and she said to use hashtags and stuff like that.
Mm.
But it worked out for me, and the thing I like about it a lot is that I feel like Instagram allows you to be creative, you know, like because there's millions of barbers on Instagram, but not everyone is posting the exact same type of content. So you get the liberty of posting what you want or what you would like your Instagram to look like, you know, like professional. Um, for a while I was posting reels and I got a whole bunch of views and whatnot. But then I focused on portraits. Me and my wife bought a camera like 4 or 5 years ago. We wanted to do like YouTube videos, which we
Mm-hmm.
never did. But it was just the camera was just sitting at the house, and I was like, I'm gonna put that camera
Collecting
to
dust.
work. Yeah. So like I just brought it to the barbershop, started taking pictures of every cut, and yeah, people were liking that.
So then the portrait is like picture of the before and after. What do you mean?
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you go about like putting something like that together along with like your hashtags? What do you do?
Right. So for example, on the reels, I would try to focus on recording a before video of how they come in and then the after. And I'll just try to choose a trending sound, you know, whatever's popping, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
and Rico asked me one time, and I didn't care. Like, yeah, sure. He's like, hey, can I take a picture of before and after? So then one of the things is that the chair, you can rotate the chair, right? So he
Yeah.
was rotating, and the camera was like, and then I was moving, so he can see literally a 360 degree of my face, right? So
Yeah.
and then after the haircut. I think that it's great, and I think that here is an angle where people have to figure out, right? Like Instagram is very visual, and as you said, there might be a lot of competition, but doing it in a way that you are, because this is local. It's not like you can do a haircut in another place, right? So this one having tags, the hashtags, or the content to spell it out, the description, Houston, or in this case we are in the north side, but Woodlands, closer to Woodlands, or closer to even Conroe as well. Here are the things. So it's pretty good. So then you have before and after. How many? And you don't have to be exact. It's just I'm trying to figure out. You are getting clients from it, but how many you have to post? Do you know, like how many posts?
That I wouldn't be so sure because lately I've been uh not gonna lie, I've been slacking on my Instagram game. Back then I was trying to post at least 2 to 3 videos a week.
Mm-hmm.
Lately I just been too busy. I have a whole bunch of things going on, but I haven't had time to actually record through mid haircuts or whatever. Like, but I used to post at least 2 to 3 times a week.
2-3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, what is your handle? Your Instagram handle?
It's real simple. It's cuts by Rico. Exactly how it sounds. Exactly it. No underscores, no periods, no commas, nothing. Just cuts by Rico.
I think that when you told me that, and that's the reason why I'm asking, because I knew it, but I wanted you to explain it. It was very simple to remember. And when I got home right away, I look at you, so and I start following you. I think that that's when people they have to do their social, try to figure out from the audience, right? Like in this case, I like it how you just literally did the cut and your name as your branding. And I think that sometimes people they miss the uh, kind of the branding of their business. So, what's your take there, Eric, in branding?
Yeah, I mean, just right now, I'm just visualizing. Okay, like what are the different things that you can do with this? I mean, you said maybe you're slacking a little bit right now, but maybe maybe it got repetitive, or maybe there's only so many things that you could do with it. But if you start adding some branding or building a brand, Cuts by Rico, I think is like it's awesome. I think it rolls off the tongue. It's very clear. You know what it is. So it does all the things that you need from a brand. To communicate to your customer what is it that you do. So I think Cuts by Rico, stick with that. I mean, your Instagram, your social media, that's really good. I just started thinking about what are some ways that you can build on that, because I think that's a really good foundation. It's really good. You've got the Instagram piece on there, but I'm now starting to think, okay, one, how do you get new clients, new customers? That's Instagram, right? But then also, how do you your workflow on your workflow, like how do you make it easier to get your posting on Instagram? Like how do you automate that or make it super easy so that you don't have to just do three a week or like you used to do, but maybe there's a way that you can make it super simple, super easy, super clean, and you do it on every single cut, and then at that point you're like flooding Instagram with all this stuff. And maybe if you do, just instead of like a super long video, I don't know what you did before, but maybe it's just kind of like a 1, 2, 3 shot thing, and then that's it, and it's just super short, super easy, and you put your brand on there, your logo, and then you like contact information. Or I was even thinking like a way to book you. That might be something good. So if you integrate like a booking service, so that you can even do like if you're willing to travel to people's house or whatever, it'll be like $100 or something like that. So people that are short on time, you could travel to them, and it'll make it worth your time, whatever those rates are. I don't know what it is, but I can see like you start building your workflow, automating some of that, making the branding essential to that, but then also getting more content out there on your social media.
And I think that you hit something here, Eric, where you can, as part of the branding, maybe that concierge, and instead of charging a specific price for them to come to you, because also you might have to have a studio or whatever, but maybe you can be a mobile. I mean, there are many businesses that they actually bring it to you, right? And sometimes it's even a luxury, right? It's interesting that how back in those days, even a doctor will come to your house, right? And why not? You see it in different type of businesses, like pet grooming. You don't take your pet to the vet. You see trucks that they have the shop on the truck, right? And they're calling the thing. You can figure out many ways. I think that right now what we're trying to move the conversation is to how we can scale your business in a progressive way, right? So one way is to keep doubling down in your branding. You find something, then double down. Like no need to find YouTube, or no need to do another one until you start just hitting certain milestones. And I think that that channel is if it fits for what you are doing. So you wanted to say something, Rico?
Yeah, so I wanted to say that whenever I first started cutting, and I wanted to get that experience of cutting and get better and stuff like that, I was doing free haircuts for at least 2 to 3 months, and I had a few friends that they were like, "Hey, come to my house and cut my hair," and I did, and I started doing that, and excuse me, till this day I have I tell people, if you want me to cut your hair, like I'll do house calls, and this is my price. But you just have to let me know a few days in advance. Like if you tell me, hey, come cut my hair today, like I can't do that, like. Well, now it's more for mental. Like I gotta be mentally prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you tell me, like, if let's say Mando was to tell me, like, hey, can you cut my hair tomorrow? I have a whole day to process it and be like, okay, I have to go cut a hair, haircut after work.
And I think that you can charge because it's a luxury, right? So I think that that's where you start seeing pricing differences, right? So
right.
maybe you only focus on the customers that they might pay you the overprice, right? And I think that sometimes business owners, they think that people will not be willing to pay certain things. Look, I'm going to LA tomorrow, and let's say if I wanted to need a haircut, I'm willing to pay the completely extra charge, right? Because I just need it, right? So I think that you will have to find out what is that extra charge, and sometimes you'll figure out that maybe it's 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x, right? So whatever the client wants to and needs to.
I saw, and it's so funny. I just saw this a couple days ago, and I don't remember who he was talking to, but Graham Stephan, the investor real estate guy, he was interviewing another YouTuber, and I forget who it was, but he noticed his haircut. He's like, "Man, it looks like you just got a fresh haircut. You just get that like right before." He's like, "Yeah, actually, I had my barber come over just before he went over there." And he was saying, yeah, I mean, it looks like a sharp haircut. It looked good. And he's like, that. And he just started a question like, how much does your haircut normally cost? Blah, 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 80, $100 or something like that. And the guy's like, but this time, he came over. I think he said $400 for the guy to come over
that's what I'm telling you.
Cut his hair. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but it's applicable here. You just don't really know. Of course, this guy probably had a relationship with a YouTuber that can do that, but maybe that's just a service you could just start testing now. And I don't know if you've got a website or things like that where you have all your pictures that you've taken and things like that you could put out there.
Right.
Maybe those are things that you could do to help if you're trying to maybe get into more of that luxury type of market.
Yeah, so I've that's actually something I've thought about before, because I have multiple clients that tell me that I'm a little far from them, Well, it's crazy because I actually have a client that lives in Dallas, and he'll get a haircut once a month. He'll come all the way over here, get a haircut, and visit his friends, and then go back home.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And if people really do value your work, and it's possible.
For me, it takes sometimes 40 minutes to go on to that shop. So because of the traffic, sometimes I have to go into and it takes some time. But I think that we discussed your branding, and from our perspective, it's awesome. It's just it has all of the things that Eric was saying. So now we are trying to see a little bit more of your target demographic. So when you are creating a campaign for ads, it is very important that you define who is your demo, right? So maybe the shop where you are has their demographic, they already have the traffic, right? But for your own personal business, you have to also define what is the type of traffic that you gonna serve, and maybe how you want to differentiate, right? I like the story of that person, because maybe that person doesn't have to have many people. It's just a couple of YouTubers and a week, right? And they'll be able to do it. So I think that maybe it might be harder. I'm not sure how many YouTubers we have here in Houston, but we have doctors and lawyers.
Right.
So and those they make good money too.
Yeah. So I actually seen this one video. There's this guy, right? And I know I'm still I'm going on my second year as licensed barber, but I seen this video that this guy was talking about work, and they were asking him where he sees himself in 5 years and that type of stuff, and he was like, well, first of all, I love what I do, and I enjoy it, but as time keeps going by, I just want to do it a little bit less and less and less. And it kind of made me think, because ever since I got licensed, I've been working 7 days back to back, back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people think like, oh, you're burning yourself out, this and that. At moments, but I do take my days off every now and then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking to myself, like, sometimes you do need some time. Like, you gotta sit down and think about the type of schedule you want for yourself. Like, how can I explain this? Like, I don't want to just spend my time working all the time, right?
No, for sure.
So I would like to have some days where I know I can do whatever I want type days. And it's just working on, you got to figure out your own schedule sometimes, and see what works for you, and what, just manage your job, really
Mm-hmm.
manage your income, and stuff like that. But it's crazy.
I know you are spot on, and that's one of the things that I wanted to touch in this episode. How, if you notice, we have been taking you from your kind of your experience, where you are right now. But the next question will be, how do we help you to start thinking on scaling your business, right? Because
Right.
you pointed out, like, there's a point, sure, you have enough hours on the day, and it's the same as my hours, right? 24 hours. So, uh,
Yeah.
but then there are many ways, and I wanted to touch base on those, because the most traditional way that I have here before, for barbers, it was, well, you make enough money, or you have enough clients, so that way you can have your own customers to be able to do your cuts outside, whether you start actually trying to get a studio or
Mhm.
getting the funding to be able to have your own shop. And
Right.
then after you do that, then eventually maybe you can have a franchise, right? You have
Mhm.
shop number 1, 2, 3, and you scale it to whatever you want. That's kind of the very, I'll say, traditional, right? And most obvious way to go after. Uh, I think that I wanted to discuss other ones, but before I move to that one, what do you think, Rico? Do you think that that's a good assumption, or what's your point of view there?
No, no, yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like, I tell my wife this all the time. Like, I know I'm working a lot, but it's not always gonna be like this. Like, I really want to become successful and be someone in life, and most importantly, I want to make sure that we're set. And I feel like the next step would be either get a studio, or most importantly, get a studio. Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that'll be like, once you have an established clientele, that they come to you weekly or every 2 weeks, or like, if you have a certain amount, you can definitely go on your own, and all that income is yours. Like, you don't get,
Mm-hmm.
because some barbershops are commission based, or booth rent, and commission based. Like, at the end of the week or the day, if you get paid out daily or weekly or whatever, not all that money you made is gonna go to you. But if you get your own studio, all that money is yours. All that money is yours. All you have to do is pay your rent, and that's it. And then from there, grow, keep growing.
Yeah, I think that, and I want to explore other ways, because depending of the talents of the person, right? But I think that the other path that could be here is to coach or train others, right?
Right.
So, because you can scale in many ways, and one of those that I see is that if you have some talent to be able to coach, because I saw you as well. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up. I saw you coaching another barber. He came and he was kind of asking you questions, and you were saying, and you had the patience to
Right.
to be able to explain, right? So
Hmm.
then I think that I was thinking in that day, it's like, he could potentially record some videos on YouTube, create a almost like a teachable type of a thing, and then create a course. So when you create a course, you literally have an asset, and that asset allows you to resell it without you having actually to be present. And maybe you can charge the surplus to come to Houston and teach them in person, but as a different package. So, but your first package is just to build the videos, the sets of videos, 10 videos. You mentioned 1,000 hours. maybe those 1,000 hours, you can say, I want to help you to do the first 500 hours, because probably they have some regulations on the certification. But try to figure out a way there where you can give a lot of the training virtually online with recordings, and then you get a program, a coaching program going that you can do through Zoom, right? So that's another way. What do you think?
Yeah. So we would it really all depends on the regulations and the state board. If I was to teach somebody and help them get hours, I feel like I'd probably had to be a part of a college, like a barber college. But I feel like this is a problem that you see mostly all the time. It's like people go to these barber schools and they learn everything from the book, and they don't have too much experience cutting hair. And once they get licensed and they go to a barber shop, a lot of them don't know how to cut. A lot of them don't know and don't have the experience. And I've actually had in mind making an online course. I told my wife about it and she liked the idea. I told her I wanted to record a few videos step by step. I have the patience, like you said. I can go step by step and teach everything of how I learned and what makes it easy for me, and just teach everything that I know. And I wanted to do that, so you could either take the online course or do a one-on-one. And I would just have to, like I said, my next step would probably be in the studio, and I'd have to set up a website and where people can book and people can buy the course and stuff like that. Like, I just want to make it easy for everyone. So if they could just all go to this link, which is my website, and they could find all the answers there,
Yep. What's your point of view there, Eric?
Yeah, I like that. I think, there's an opportunity maybe on this website thing where it doesn't have to be a website, it could be on the phone or whatever. But I think maybe, and we maybe touched on it a little bit and we just kind of glossed over it, but you have people that aren't nearby to you, right? And they might be somewhere else. So maybe if there is like a platform that you can not necessarily have to build, but put together for people that are doing mobile cuts, like you build the brand, it's your face, it's your name on there, and this would be a way for you to be able to scale without having a physical place. Like, or you can have a physical place, but maybe you could have that umbrella, and you can sign up different people. Maybe that you have your own special training, and they've got the Cuts by Rico stamp of approval, and then you have folks around the city, and either they have, they do purely mobile also, so they come to you and your platform just books it, and then just depending on who's booking from what area, they can travel to you. I mean, I don't know if I've seen something similar to that or not, but that's might be a unique way of doing a way to scale besides having like a normal brick and mortar physical shop, is being able to scale in that way. So it's not just you cutting hair. Like you said, yeah, you still like it, you want to do it, but maybe pull back a little bit. How do you multiply yourself? And it's by having that platform, and then by getting that school in there, that training, maybe that's another way, just kind of add to your brand, get people to go to your site, and have the ability to just keep getting bigger and bigger and kind of just grow like that. I did have a couple other notes. Just I think let's see, an uncle of ours used to do these things called, I don't know, performance haircuts. Like they would have music, they would be on stage, and they'd be cutting hair, and the hair's all flying, and it's like a big event type thing. He actually ended up growing and growing, and he ended up getting a partnership with Chi. Have you heard the hair straightening? I think that guy's in San Antonio, the owner of Chi, and there's like a factory over there.
I thought that he came out from Houston. He's one of the billionaires from Houston.
Perhaps. I don't know exactly, but and so he ended up doing a partnership with him, and that's how he ended up growing and things like that. I'm not sure whatever happened like with his business and things like that, but maybe also just in terms of the thoughts on the content, maybe there's something that you can do to kind of help you stand out. Maybe if there's a specific music or a specific like way, maybe you learn how to twirl the scissors a certain way and it becomes your signature thing. I think
like
all
the
these
salt
little
guy.
things, yeah, like the Salt
The
Bay
Salt
guy,
Bay.
it's just, I don't know, but get a little creative and start adding that as part of your brand. Start thinking about what colors are going to be part of your brand. Get a Fiverr to make you a logo or something, and you start branding all of your content.
Explain what is a Fiverr, Eric.
Okay, so Fiverr is a website where you pay at least when it started, you pay someone $5 to do all kinds of little things. You want a logo, here's $5, we pay a logo. You want like a special music intro, here's $5. And now it's grown and it's everything, but it can be as much money as people charge, but it's usually an easy way to go get a logo or something like that done, and it'll be like $20 or something.
Right.
And it's Fiverr.com. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that's a good way to kind of get little things like that done. And you tell them kind of an idea, or you see something that you like, and they'll do it for you, kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of Fiverr before. Actually, man, I have so many ideas. I just write down my ideas and I try to analyze and see what's the best move. So I do have a couple logo ideas in mind and stuff like that. But man, a lot of it is just like day by day. You have to you can't rush the process. Like you have to. I like to keep it going. If I like to take my time and just make sure I do things the way I really like them. And I don't like to rush. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things coming. Hopefully next year.
I think that that's a good way to see it. There is a book that is called Your 5 Next Moves or something like that, which maybe from your list of all of the stuff that you have in your notebook, what are those 5? And if you can prioritize them, it's like which one it goes first. Literally, what are your next 5 moves that you're gonna do? And that's a strategy. That's your strategy, right? And you can be as analytical as possible that you need to be. And as you said, no need to rush. You can make your going the speed that you want to go. Another thing that I wanted to point out here is the difference between, I guess, dreams versus goals is that people are adding timelines. Right? They're exact. Like, hey, I want to do this move by blah, right? Like by the end of the year, by next year. And it's okay to just spell it out to, hey, maybe in the next 5 years, right? But have a timeline. Because I think that sometimes we all have that, and I try to force myself to get that date and try to achieve it, right? Obviously, if I can do it before, even better. If not, it's okay, right? But you just move the post to next month or whatever. But I think that it holds us accountable. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's good. It's in general, that's called like time boxing something. You give yourself a certain amount of time to do it, and you just get something out there, and it gives you a chance to come up with something and then test it, and you can adjust after that. So maybe you pick your next 5 things you want to do, or maybe just the one next thing that you want to do. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Just, I think this is the next thing I want to do. Time box it. Say I want to give myself a month to do this or a month to do that piece. It doesn't have to be the largest thing. It can be just one step at a time that it's going to kind of lead towards your goal. So maybe that first thing is, I want to do my logo. I'm going to give myself a month to do it. There's Fiverr out there. Think of your ideas and send it out. And you know what? If it's $15, $20 and you don't like it, you know what? The next one, you're going to tweak it a little bit and it's just going to be another $20, So, that's a really good idea, Mando, that you kind of broke out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how you become very good at strategy, just your next move, right? And your next move. So I really like that, Eric, as well. Rico, any questions for us? So that way we start wrapping up this.
Yeah. Actually, nah, man. I just want to say thank you to Eric and to Mando. I want to thank both of y'all for having me on the podcast. It was a pleasure, man. It was an experience. I never thought I'd be in a podcast, but here I am.
You are, and I think that is, I really like people that they are talented, right? And the ones that are not. That's the reason why we are doing this spot, to love for the audience, right? And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, right? And I think that as you mentioned it through the pod, figure out different ways to grow your business, which it makes sense, right? And to the speed that you need to go through. But yeah, I like it, Eric.
Yep. Hey, well, Rico, it was a pleasure having you here on the show. You you may have not thought it was possible to happen to be on the podcast, but here at the Tech-Mex podcast, this is where dreams come true. So that's what we're here for, and for helping our audience do that. So if you like our content, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, comment, give us feedback, especially if you want to see more interviews like this. I think this is a really good way for us to interact with our audience and to, help people with kind of the questions they might have as they're, going through this mind, and things like that. Just another reminder also, we do have some referral links. So if you are looking into buying a Tesla, click on that link. I'm still trying to get my Cybertruck. I think they're getting ready to roll out one day. But closing thoughts, Mando, what do you got?
Yeah, I think that tell us if anyone that we need to invite to the pod. Also, you, Rico, if you think that anyone that it might be interesting for the audience, let us know. And now that we have set up everything to start inviting guests, we are ready for business.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot. Hey, keep going. Sin miedo.
Sin miedo, and don't forget, cuts by Rico.
Cuts by Rico. There you go.